So Alex Jones is being sued for defamation by the families of the kids who died in Sandy Hook. They've had many people giving them death threats because they assume that they're part of this plot and they lied about having kids in the first place and all this stuff. So they're suing him for defamation because of the stuff he said about Sandy Hook. Let's see what Alex has had to say about this on his show after getting the news that he's being sued.
We are back live. Coming up at the end of the hour, in the next segment, I'm going to go over the AP actually being somewhat honest about what I've really said about Sandy Hook versus the rest of the media. And it's not that I'm running away from saying I think it was a hoax if it was a hoax. For 4 years, I've said I think people really died there. And they know that. The suit by the media, by the Democrats, using the poor parents, is meant to just demonize yours truly, building up to something big. They physically, I can guarantee you, want to assassinate my character ahead of shutting me up, putting him in prison, or having me killed. If you don't think the globalists don't kill people all day, they've hijacked America. They killed President Kennedy. They're trying to kill President Trump.
So the globalists want to kill Alex Jones. That's what he just argued. You know, it's funny because he acts like he's not on tape virtually all day, every day. So when he says something like, that's not what I said, that's not what I said about Sandy Hook, that's so easily checkable. Like, we could all just go back and see, hey, what did he really say about Sandy Hook? But he's got a little bit of Trump in him, in that Trump just fucking, with his chest puffed out and all the machismo in the world, acts like, nope, I didn't say that thing that you have me on tape saying. Trump just did it the other day with the firing of Comey, because he said immediately after he did it that at least one of the reasons was, oh, the whole Russia investigation's a fake investigation, so I fired James Comey. And then he said the other day on Twitter, no, wrong. I didn't fire him because of the Russia investigation. Fake news. And it's like, dude, there is a tape. There's a fucking tape. So why are we even bothering? Just shut the fuck up. Just don't say anything. But no, they like rewrite their own reality in real time. And it's pathological lies where it's like, no. Now I'm even going to convince myself that this thing I'm now saying is the truth. And the thing I said before, I didn't even say. And then if I happen to change my mind tomorrow, I'll just reassert the opposite tomorrow and act like, no, I've been saying this all along and this is the truth. So, being sued for defamation by the families of the Sandy Hook victims, he says now, well, I didn't say it was a hoax. I've been saying people died there the whole time. Let's take a look at what he actually said.
Sandy Hook, it's got inside job written all over it. Sandy Hook is a synthetic, completely fake, with actors, in my view, manufactured. I couldn't believe it at first. People just instinctively know that there's a lot of fraud going on. But it took me about a year with Sandy Hook to come to grips with the fact that the whole thing was fake. I mean, even I couldn't believe it. I knew they jumped on it, used the crisis, hyped it up, but then I did deep research, and my gosh, it just pretty much didn't happen. I mean, I've interviewed the cops and the people that saw the feds plant the bombs in Oklahoma City. You saw them stage Fast and Furious. Folks, they staged Aurora. They staged Sandy Hook. The evidence is just overwhelming.
See, why bother lying? Because listen, the chances are extremely high that in court, this stuff is going to be presented as evidence. And Alex Jones' defense can't be, I didn't say that. Because they go, okay, let's cut to the fucking videotape and see what you said. So I don't know what this guy's endgame is. He just seems like he's totally unhinged. David Pakman had on his show Alex Jones' ex-wife to tell her story, because there was a high profile like divorce proceeding and child custody issues and all that shit. And so Alex Jones' wife went on David Pakman's show, told her story. Alex Jones filed a copyright claim against that video. They didn't even play a clip of Alex Jones. They didn't do it. You know what they did? They had, like I have here, this picture of Alex Jones. They had a picture of Alex Jones in the background from his show. And Alex was like, nope, you don't have the rights to use that picture, so I'm going to take it down. It is a clear attempt at censoring to try to control the narrative. I've never seen a clear example of trying to censor somebody to control the narrative. He doesn't want her story getting out, so he censors and shuts it down. Now remember, this is one of those guys who always talks about free speech and acts like, oh yeah, we're the principled ones on free speech, which is why I'm going to shut my fucking wife up with the bullshit copyright claim. But listen, man, after a while, the lies catch up to you, dude. You don't get to say all that shit. That really is, you guys know me, I'm a free speech absolutist. The exceptions to that are direct threats of violence, libel, slander, and basically what these people are saying is, I don't know which one is written word, which one is spoken word, libel or slander, whatever, it doesn't matter. Basically what these people are saying is, that's what you did to us. Because you're saying, imagine losing your kid in a fucking mass shooting. And then you got this guy that has over 1 million listeners out there saying it was a hoax, it was fake, and at sometimes he went as far as to say, yeah, they were using actors, and nobody even died. And then later on, I think the more pushback he got, he started to change his opinion a little and said, no, I said people died all along. So he just kind of changed it as time moves along based on what's, more convenient and what's going to give him the least amount of trouble. But imagine losing your kid and then somebody screams that you're an actor, you didn't even have a kid, and then people start threatening you and over your dead kid, your kid actually died, and they're threatening you and saying you didn't even have a kid, and I'm going to fucking attack you. You can't imagine a worse scenario than that. I mean, that's like, holy shit. And listen, at the end of the day, I'm not saying that Alex Jones is even going to be found guilty, because when it comes to cases of libel, slander, defamation, and stuff like that, it is notoriously hard to prove. And by the way, that should be the case. We should lean heavily on the side of free speech absolutism. So I'm not even sure that he's going to be found guilty, because they might have to prove intent, like, oh, as he said these things, he intended to really ruin these people's lives and have people make those threats, and that might be too much of a stretch. So I don't know that he's going to be found guilty. But what I do know is he's a fucking liar, because he says he didn't say that, Sandy Hook was a hoax, and then there's thousands, and by the way, I'm just showing you a little snippet. Those clips go on and on and on and on and on of him saying exactly that Sandy Hook was a hoax. And every now and then what happens is people will allow the speculation about certain things because the nature of those things is up in the air enough where speculation is not insane by its very nature. But there are some things where everybody draws a line and they're like, you are not doing what you're doing right now, are you? And one of those things is Sandy Hook. Children massacred, slaughtered. And remember, his whole theory was, and it changed from time to time, to be clear, but the idea was basically this is a fake shooting, and the whole reason behind it is that the government Obama can come and take your guns, using this as, the precursor so that they can then go, sorry, we got to confiscate all the guns. And that theory is so massively incoherent that it's laughable if you spend 2 seconds researching, because the reality is the strongest legislation that was even proposed for a split second after the shooting, ban on assault weapons, which would still leave all rifles, all shotguns, and all handguns in the fucking country, ban on assault weapons, ban on high-capacity magazines, universal background check. So it was super specific, the proposals, and none of the proposals were to ban guns, nor could you with the Second Amendment. So when he says their whole plan is the whole motivation behind this, the motive of the government is to fake an attack so they can take all the guns, well then why would they not even propose taking all the guns? See, this is what I mean. Just a minimal amount of skepticism when you go, that guy's full of shit. And then, by the way, how long did they even propose the strongest gun regulation pieces of legislation. They were only on the table for like a week, and then the Democrats immediately caved because that's all the Democrats know how to do. And they said, "Oh no, we forget the assault weapons ban. Can we please do the high capacity magazine ban and the universal background check?" And then guess what? Mitch McConnell and the Republicans said, "How about you go fuck yourself?" And then the Democrats went, "Okay, fine, no high capacity magazine ban, but maybe just a universal background check." And then Mitch McConnell said, "Go fuck yourself." And then they went, "Okay, fine, not a universal background check, but a watered-down background check bill that has massive loopholes that's going to be totally ineffectual." And the Republicans still said, "Go fuck yourself." So anybody who understands, if you look at the legislation, you look at the proposals, you look at the actual fallout from this event, the theory of it being faked is just beyond preposterous. And what happens is, it's a hallmark of all conspiracy theories. What they do is they point out issues that arise when everything's unfolding. So when in something like this happens, nobody really knows what's going on when it's happening. Like when the shooting is happening and in the immediate 2 hours, 3 hours, there's a lot of misinformation and half-truths, and, you know, oftentimes there's a report, there were 3 shooters, and then no, it turns out there was 1 shooter. And what happens is you take all the initial reports and the contradictions in the different points people make, and you go, see, the government's lying to you. Now they say it's 1 shooter, but there was a report initially after that there were 3 shooters. What happened to the other 2 shooters? So all you do is point out the inconsistencies in the narrative, and then you use that to build a case that you totally made up. So, oh, look at all these inconsistencies. Therefore, you know, it's like the God of the Gaps argument. Therefore, there's this, you know, giant conspiracy happening from the top down, and the government is orchestrating it and responsible for it. That's a giant fucking leap, bitch. What a giant leap. Holes in the narrative. Therefore, I'm going to make up something that has 0 evidence. So, what I don't understand is, Alex, why are you digging a deeper hole? Just do what you did. I think it was for Pizzagate. Jones apologized. He apologized. He said, hey, sometimes we get it wrong, and he did this whole spiel because what happened was I think he got sued in that case too because there was a fucking shooting at the pizza place where they said Hillary Clinton was running a brothel out of the basement or some shit. So some lunatic went there and started shooting. And so I think the pizza place sued Alex Jones because he was the biggest voice pushing this idea. And then to settle and not be dragged through litigation for so much longer, he basically said, what do you want? And they said, apologize, say you were wrong, and all that. And then I don't know if there was some sort of monetary issue as well, but he apologized and basically owned up to it so that he can escape further litigation. So now you'll notice he doesn't really talk about Pizzagate anymore because he got he got chewed alive on reporting that and then fucking getting sued. So I don't understand why he doesn't do the same thing here. Now he's just kind of like lying about what he said, as opposed to owning up to it and saying, I was wrong. So he's just a sleazy and dishonest guy, man. That's what he is. And you better get your viewing in on this video fast, because Lord knows if he'll start doing false copyright claims over this too. Just so everybody knows. You know, Alex, follow me on Twitter, @KyleKalinsky. Because Lord knows what he'll do just by virtue of the fact that I'm talking about this.